Death Note is by far my favorite anime. The manga was incredible, the anime turned out looking phenomenal, and there's just so much about it I just genuinely enjoyed. So, let's talk about it. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Minor, and whenever I'm not writing names in my magical notebook to prove a point to the world, I'm right here on YouTube reviewing different types of media. And today we are taking a look at my favorite anime of all time, Death Note. This anime came out in 2007, which was 1 year after I was born, so it's a pretty old series. And today we're going to be reviewing it. Full disclaimer, we're only doing the first half of the series because the second half is kinda stupid. However, if you want me to review the second half of the series, then get this video to 20 likes. But as you guys already know, over here we review movies a little bit differently. Go watch our Halloween 1978 review if you guys want to know more about how we do it. We will leave it up there in the iCard. But pretty much what we do is we focus on what we liked, what we didn't like, and what we just found was in the middle. We then give out 3 awards towards the end of the video. Then we rank it on a scale of 10, and then we just end it there. This method is more efficient and allows you to avoid copyright and spoilers. However, I still will give a spoiler warning here, so I recommend going and watching the first half of the series before checking this video out, at least up until L kicks the bucket. In my opinion, I feel like that is the best way to watch the series, but we'll get to that later. While I still will watch the full series, I mostly just watch up until that point. Bruh. Let's just jump right into the review. Starting with what I genuinely loved about the series, starting with the Shinigami realm. In the eyes of the Shinigami realm freaking sucks, but I like it. I think it's pretty cool. So the Shinigami realm is pretty much this like barren wasteland, and it's like completely devoid of life, and these like creatures called Shinigami run around. There's like pretty much nothing to do there. They're completely bored. They can't die, so that makes it much worse. However, it is a little bit too boring for a Shinigami named Ryuk, who takes his Death Note, yes, the Death Note belongs to the Shinigami, and drops it onto the human realm, where it gets picked up by a 17-year-old kid named Light Yagami. The next positive we have is Ryuk himself. Ryuk is a very fascinating character. He's not on either Light or L's side. He pretty much has to stay in the human realm until the Death Note is completely destroyed, or until Light dies. And in all honesty, Ryuk's design looks really, really cool. The creators wanted the Shinigami to look like edgy meme lords, and he just loves apples, like freaking adores them. To be fair, understandable, apples are pretty good. And when he doesn't have his apples, he gets these weird symptoms where his body just starts like contorting. It's so stupid. And honestly, I just think that like adds to his character. The next positive I have is Light Yagami. By the way, did you know there's actually an Easter egg with his name? It's actually what the Japanese name of Yagami actually translates to. Ya translates to night, and Gami translates to God, making the English version of his name Night God, or God of Night, which is honestly kind of fascinating, especially if you take the end of the manga into account. But yeah, Light picks up the Death Note, uses it for a little bit, and then adopts the name Kira, which is Japanese for the word killer. He then also meets model and actress Misa Amane, as well as plays a little cat and mouse game with the greatest detective of all time, L, who is actually the next person on the list. And that is literally his name, by the way. We knew his name this whole time, and they made an entire deal in the anime about his name being this huge mystery that Light needs to figure out. He doesn't sit normally. He sits with his knees upward like that and like bites his thumb like that. Now he claims that if he sits normally, his like reasoning skills and like the way how he functions drops by about 40%.
I don't sit like this because I want to. I have to sit like this. If I were to sit normally, my deductive skills would immediately be reduced by roughly 40%.
Which for some reason I don't really believe, because like it just seems like a more inefficient way of sitting because it could hurt your Achilles tendon. He also only eats sweets, and yet he's so like freaking skinny. Now he claims that his brain burns off a lot of calories, which I highly doubt that. And the final nail in the coffin, he doesn't take a shower. Yeah, we should probably get L some therapy. Yeah, and L is by far my favorite character in the entire series, and is one of the main reasons why I feel like the second half of the series failed. Sometimes I just watch the series just because of him. Now the next positive is going to be kind of surprising. Light's motive. His motive in the anime is to cleanse the world and completely remove evil and create a new one that he can rule over.
It'll be a new world, free of injustice and populated by people who I've judged to be honest, kind, and hardworking. I will become the god of this new world.
Now, most people genuinely hate this because in reality, he's just letting his ego take over and he just wants power. I feel like having someone use the Death Note to fix the world, I think that's actually a good idea. However, the way how he went about it was completely like off the rails. He should have done something else. Up next is the cinematography. Honestly, there are just so many shots in this show that are just it just looks amazing. And I just think it looks beautiful. There are tons of people around the world who hate it. And while I do respect that decision, I love the art style. Sure, some of the shots do show their age. Like this shot of Light and Naomi talking. Look at Light's eyes. They're not even focused on her. Focus, you moron. But aside from, you know, the showing of its age, I actually think it still holds up to this day. Up next is Light's dad, Soichiro Yagami. He is a police chief in this region of Japan, and in all honesty, I think he's a great character. And while you could say something against him, saying that like he didn't think that maybe his son could have hacked into his account to try and like find names and that could indicate that he's Kira. On the other hand, how was he supposed to know? He also led this task force in the anime, which is actually one of the next things we're going to be talking about. I thought the task force was great. They got the advice from L, or I'm sorry, Ryuzaki, to not use their real names. My favorite member of the task force being Aizawa. And I just think that it was a nice touch, and I think that it really like added to the series. And up next is the Light and L rivalry. There are a lot of things in this anime that really show off how great their rivalry is. Whether that is the fact that they both are really intelligent, or the fact that they both use like rival computer brands. But there's also like just how smart they are. Like the fact that Light made up this whole thing about him hiding the Death Note, and that if anybody was to find it, it would like cause a huge house fire. Or the fact that L hides behind that iconic L logo, and even use Linda L. Taylor to lure Kira out into the open. And that is just incredible. Like these two are incredibly smart. You can also take into account the fact that when L put security cameras in Light's room, this like made him write down less names, but he still did the iconic potato chip trick, which honestly I kind of want to try myself. Also relinquishing ownership of the Death Note only to get it back later at a different time. Also using Misa's Shinigami eyes to, you know, learn his name, which they never actually use. They do something else, but we'll get to that later. And you can't forget about whenever he scheduled the names like one every hour. That was just pure genius. But the point of what I'm trying to say here is that I think that both Light and L are genuinely great characters, and I think that they're both extremely intelligent despite what people are saying on YouTube right now. But on to our next positive, which is the iconic Death Note scores. Up next is our next positive, the actual Death Note itself. So the Death Note, for those of you who don't know, is a notebook that you pretty much write someone's name in it and they die. I've had this copy right here for a couple years now. I've read every single rule and it is so cool. And look, it has like so many like rule pages and like full anime detail from like names that were written. Like we got Lindell Taylor right here to even the last page right here with Light's name on it. Also on that same page, you may notice that one page is ripped out. Whenever I first got it, I wanted to do something stupid. I wrote down the name of Fire Lord Ozai from the Last Airbender. Instantly regretted it, ripped it out, threw it in the trash. I regret that because that really ruins the Death Note prop, which if you guys want to see a review on that, let me know. But yeah, the actual Death Note in the anime is really interesting. Like it has like so many rules and there's like so many different ways you could do like what you do. If you just write down someone's name, the default method is heart attacks. However, you can specify. But something I find really interesting is that if you specify heart attack, like the default one, you can actually write down details. Now, I don't want to talk too much into that because YouTube's probably going to take this down if I do. But if you want me to go more in depth in a future video, let me know. But with that, we are all out of positives. Let's go on to the neutral segment, which we only have one, and that is Misa. Misa, for those of you who don't know, is the female counterpart to Light, and I don't hate her. Okay, let me just, let me specify that. I don't hate Misa. She is, however, very annoying. She's constantly chasing after Light, even whenever he was handcuffed to L. I think that the only good part about her is the fact that she has the Shinigami eyes, which allows her to see a human's name and lifespan, which means she only needs a person's face to write down their name. And it can't be like, see the top half right there. She has to see at least that much of their face. And that one fact is what saved her from being in the negatives. Speaking of, on to the negatives, we have Rim. I'm gonna be real with you. I never liked Rim, okay? I freaking hated her. I really just don't like the way she talks to Light. What is your problem? She just straight up talks crap to Light, and it's like, it kind of irritates me, which is one of the reasons why I'm glad she is no longer in the anime after L dies, which brings me to my next negative, how L dies. Dude, Light, wasn't your entire goal in the anime to find out his name and then write it? Why did you make Rim do it? This is also the point where the series starts to go downhill, and with L out of the picture, they introduced M and N, and I think that the series should have just ended with L's death. It was dumb, but it would have made the perfect ending to the series. But with that, we are all out of negatives, and now we can focus on 3 rewards. First reward is the best character. Obviously, we got to give that to L.
I am L.
I mean, come on, man. It's L. The next reward is best scene, and I'm actually going to give that to when Light talked about the idea of hiding the Death Note.
You see, once the ink reservoir is inserted, it acts as an insulator.
I wish I could show you the full scene, but just take my word for it, that is the best scene. And lastly, the reward for the best death. I'm gonna give it to that one bus jacker that Light manipulated with the Death Note. Honestly, I just thought that that whole segment was just cool. And I'm gonna rank this on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm gonna give this a 10 out of 10 because this is my favorite anime of all time. There are some flaws, but I feel like that the flaws kind of add to how great this is. But as always, let me know what you think. And with that, that's going to be a wrap for today, guys. Thank you guys for coming to take a moment to come hang out with me. You guys know I appreciate you. Remember, guys, 20 likes and I will review the second half of the series. And if you guys don't want me to, then comment what you guys feel like I should review next. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. And also don't forget to ring the bell. Remember, we do this stuff weekly. You do not want to miss a single upload. And with that, guys, this is Miner signing off for now. I love every single one of you guys. God bless you, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.